Trump's wife, Melania, re-emerged releasing a short video on social media demanding to uncover the truth of the assassination attempt on her husband.
Possibly the difference between Mrs. Trump breaking immigration law or not. To understand why, listen to Melania Trump's own words.
I obeyed the law. I did it the right way. I didn't just sneak in and stay here.
Melania Trump finally confirms our suspicions. Once a small-town girl from Europe, she captured global attention as the wife of former President Donald Trump. Her ascent to the White House was as intriguing as it was unexpected, sparking curiosity and speculation. Throughout her public life, whispers about her marriage and personal experiences have circulated widely. What truths is she about to reveal? As we uncover more, you'll see that the truth is far more disturbing than it first appears. And this is only the beginning of what could completely shift our view of the end times. From Eastern Bloc to American glamour. Melania was born on April 26, 1970, in Slovenia. Her early life was very different from the glamorous world she later became a part of. Her father, Viktor Novs, worked as a driver before moving into the auto parts business, with possible connections to the Communist Party of Yugoslavia. Her mother, Amalia, had a job at a children's clothing factory in the town of Sevnica, where the family lived in a government-owned apartment. Even though the communist government didn't support religion, she and her sister Inez were quietly baptized as Catholics. As she grew, so did her ambitions, leading her to pursue a career in modeling. A decision that would not only change her path, but also thrust her into a whirlwind of unimaginable opportunities and unspeakable challenges, each capable of altering her destiny forever. Taking on the professional name Melania Naus, she traveled across Europe to build her modeling portfolio. In 1992, she was the runner-up in a big modeling competition, which helped her land more international jobs. Interestingly, in 1993, she even played the role of the first female president of the United States, a curious hint at her future as First Lady. In her mid-20s, she settled in Paris, where she shared an apartment with other models and became more involved in the European fashion world. A major turning point came in 1995 when she met Paolo Zampoli, a co-owner of Metropolitan Models. Impressed by her, Zampoli suggested she move to the United States and offered to represent her. This advice would prove to be a key moment in her life, both personally and professionally. In 1996, at the age of 26, she made the move to Manhattan, where she lived with photographer Matthew Atanian in Union Square. Her early days in the US were difficult, especially because of visa issues, but she still managed to land some modeling gigs. One of her early achievements was being featured in a prominent ad for Camel cigarettes, shot by Ellen von Unwerth. This ad ended up on a billboard in Times Square and was also featured in Rolling Stone magazine. Her modeling career laid the groundwork for her future life in the spotlight, eventually leading her to the White House alongside Donald Trump. But at that time, she had no idea her work in modeling would lead her to such a public role. She has called becoming a U.S. citizen one of the greatest honors of her life, a milestone that was closely connected to her personal and professional journey in America. However, her path to citizenship wasn't without its controversies, especially around the so-called Einstein visa, which sparked questions about whether she truly met the high standards required for it. Some people wondered if her success as a model matched the high standards we expect from top scholars, business leaders, or Olympic athletes. Despite the questions, she continued to move forward with her life in the United States. She reached an important milestone in 2006 when she became a U.S. citizen. This happened around the same time her son, Barron Trump, was born, and when her husband, Donald Trump, started thinking seriously about running for president. The timing of her citizenship was key since it happened before Donald's political career took off, making sure her immigration status wouldn't become a problem during his campaign. But that wasn't the most surprising part. Her journey to citizenship also shows an interesting part of U.S. immigration policy. As a citizen, she could sponsor her parents, Viktor and Amalia Novs, to immigrate to the United States. This process is called chain migration. This was particularly interesting because during his presidency, Donald Trump spoke out against family-based immigration, even though her parents became U.S. citizens in 2018 using this very process. Being the second foreign-born First Lady since Louisa Adams and the first to be a naturalized citizen, her background as an immigrant fascinated many, but also caused some controversy. Her story reflects the American dream, an immigrant finding success and recognition. At the same time, her husband's strict views on immigration created a complicated and sometimes contradictory situation with her own immigrant story. But there was more to it. Even after becoming a U.S. citizen, she and Baron still kept their Slovenian citizenship. This shows the unique experience of immigrants who stay connected to their home country while becoming part of a new one. She often talked about her path to U.S. citizenship, a story that earned both praise and criticism, especially regarding the American immigration system. In her role as First Lady, she brought a special perspective as an immigrant, with the chance to help bridge cultural gaps. However, there was ongoing discussion about how well she used her background to influence her work. She and Donald first met in 1998 at a party in New York, introduced by a friend named Paolo Zempoli. At the time, Donald was there with another date, but her confidence caught his attention, and soon after, their relationship began. It wasn't without its challenges, though. They even broke up briefly, but this wasn't the biggest turning point. By 2001, she had her green card, which secured her status in the U.S. The following year, she moved in with Donald at Trump Tower. Their relationship grew stronger, leading to Donald proposing on her birthday in 2004, followed by their glamorous wedding in 2005. Many celebrities and well-known figures attended the event. After getting married, the Trumps lived in multiple homes across New York, New Jersey, and Florida. She even had a private spa built just for her at Trump Tower. Throughout their marriage, she found a way to balance her public appearances with keeping her private life and family connections intact. She confidently spoke in her native language, presenting herself as calm and composed. When she announced her pregnancy, it grabbed attention right away and led to her second appearance in Vogue magazine. The photo shoot showed her in a bikini with an open coat, combining her modeling background with her journey into motherhood. During her pregnancy, she focused on family, and her sister even moved to New York to be by her side. Her parents also visited often, giving her extra support as she prepared for this new chapter of her life. As this chapter closes, we turn the page to Melania's evolving role in American politics, a new realm far removed from her early experiences. Melania's role in raising Baron. This time in her life allowed Melania to reconnect with her roots while stepping into motherhood. She took an active role in preparing for the baby, even organizing a nursery in Trump Tower. This showed her desire to be involved as a hands-on parent from the very beginning. One special moment during her pregnancy was her baby shower at FAO Schwartz, where she decided to donate all the gifts to a children's hospital, showing her thoughtful nature and willingness to use her influence to help others. On March 20th, 2006, Melania and Donald Trump welcomed their son, Baron William Trump. They chose the name together. Donald picked Baron, a name he had once used as an alias, and she chose William. After Baron was born, her life changed significantly. She focused on being a mother, stepping away from many of the public appearances she used to attend with her husband. But this wasn't the hardest part. Her choice to be a hands-on parent in such a high-profile life came with unique challenges. Unlike many others in her social circle, she used very little help from nannies. She personally cared for Baron, showing just how dedicated she was to being an active parent, even with all the pressures of public life. At the same time, the Bible talks about a figure called the Antichrist, who will come seeking power and worship, much like how Satan once tried to take God's place. From the beginning, Satan wanted to twist what God intended for good, leading people away from the right path. According to biblical teachings, things like intimate relationships outside of marriage are examples of how this plan can harm the purity of marriage. The coming of the Antichrist is expected to happen after what's called the rapture. This time will be full of lies and destruction, pulling people further from what's right. But even though it sounds frightening, it's not the end of the story. The Bible says that Jesus will come back to make things right and bring justice. Recognizing these antichrists, people who deny Jesus or go against God, requires understanding biblical teachings. The message is clear. Stay watchful, stay focused on Jesus, and engage with his promises, because they are what will guide believers through tough times. To understand fake money, it's best to start by knowing what real money looks like. When you can easily recognize the real thing, it's much easier to spot a fake. In the same way, when you study sacred texts and grasp the heart of God's teachings, you're better prepared to recognize lies or falsehoods when they appear. This approach helps people respond in ways that honor and follow divine values. The idea of the Antichrist mentioned in 1 John chapter 2, verse 18 talks about someone who is against Christ. John explains in his letters that the Antichrist is a person who denies both the Father and Jesus, rejecting the belief in Jesus' humanity and his mission from God. The Bible mentions this word a few times, emphasizing the serious threat these figures pose. Some have appeared throughout history, and more are expected in the future. In the end times, it's said that the ultimate Antichrist will show up, pretending to have godlike qualities, aiming to rule the world, and specifically targeting those who follow and the nation of Israel. Throughout the Bible, this enemy is shown in different ways, as a proud king, a tricky peacemaker, or a terrifying beast. This figure, filled with evil, will challenge God's rules and even try to change the course of history. He'll replace truth with lies. In the course of time, both the Antichrist and his deceptive prophet are fated to lose, as the book of Revelation explains. They will be cast into eternal punishment. But this isn't the worst part. Alongside this, there's something called the unholy trinity, which is Satan's attempt to copy God's holy trinity. This group includes Satan, the Antichrist, and the false prophet. Instead of spreading truth, love, and goodness like the Holy Trinity, they promote lies, hatred, and evil. Prophecies describe the terrible things they'll do during a time called the tribulation, which will be a period of great suffering and conflict. In the book of Revelation, Satan is described as a great dragon who has worked to bring down empires throughout history. These empires have oppressed God's people and tried to stop his plan. Satan's final attempt is to set up a cruel kingdom ruled by the Antichrist. It may seem powerful for a time, but it won't last. The faithful will be protected, ensuring that the ultimate plan for the world carries on. The beast rising from the sea in the Bible symbolizes Gentile nations. This powerful creature has 7 heads and 10 horns, representing its alliance with Satan. The 10 horns symbolize global authority under the Antichrist, with 3 of these powers being fully taken over by the Antichrist, as mentioned in Daniel chapter 7, verse 8. The number 10 also represents completeness, hinting at the rise of a one-world government, a regime that turns away from the divine. This final empire will share traits with ancient powers like Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome, as predicted in Revelation chapter 13, verse 2, and Daniel chapter 7, verses 7 through 23. At some point, Revelation chapter 13, verse 3, says that the Antichrist will suffer a fatal wound during the tribulation period. However, Satan will heal him, and this miraculous recovery will cause the whole world to follow and worship both Satan and the Antichrist, as seen in Revelation chapter 13, verses 4 and 5. After that, the Antichrist will no longer hide his true intentions. He will break his peace agreement with the Jews, persecute believers, and desecrate the newly rebuilt Jewish temple by declaring himself as the one to be worshipped, which is called the abomination of desolation. As Melania adapted to motherhood, the story of her growing family continued to unfold, leading seamlessly into the next phase of their lives. A dark twist in biblical prophecy. At the same time, another figure, the false prophet, will rise from the earth. He is likely to be a Jew from Israel who has turned away from his faith. While he seems gentle, he holds great power. Jesus warned against such deceivers, like in Matthew chapter 7, verse 15. This false prophet will use his power to lead people away from God, encouraging the worship of the Antichrist and Satan, as described in Revelation chapter 13, verses 11 and 12. He will even call fire down from heaven to show his strength and convince people to worship a living image of the Antichrist, eliminating those who refuse, as told in Revelation chapter 13, verses 13 through 15. It gets worse. Everyone will be forced to take a mark similar to ancient slave markings, showing loyalty to the Antichrist and turning away from him. Without this mark, no one will be able to buy or sell anything, as explained in Revelation chapter 14, verse 10. This mark means eternal separation from him. The mysterious number 666, linked to the beast, has sparked much speculation. Some believe it might be connected to the Antichrist's name or even a future technology, like a computer chip, based on Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. However, this dark trio, Satan, the Antichrist, and the false prophet, will not have the final say. They will persecute many believers and lead others astray, but his kingdom will prevail in the end. Daniel chapter 7, verses 21 and 22 remind us that his judgment will give his kingdom to his followers. And there's more to consider. Some even suggest that aliens might be involved in the end times, a theory that's becoming more popular as interest in extraterrestrial life grows. While the Bible doesn't confirm aliens, it does speak of visits from spiritual beings. Satan's temptation of Eve and the Nephilim in Genesis hint at otherworldly interference. Even ancient cultures like the Sumerians and Mayans talk about celestial beings interacting with humans, adding to the complex story of spiritual warfare. Throughout history, alongside the amazing achievements of ancient civilizations, it's possible that beings like demons, maybe from another world, came to Earth. These beings, full of great knowledge, shared their wisdom with humans and even had relationships with human women. This seemed to steer people away from following him, much like how Eve was tricked by the serpent's offer of forbidden knowledge. Humans, it seems, are easily drawn to such temptations. When we think about the possible scenarios of the end of the world, the idea of a trick involving aliens isn't directly mentioned in the Bible. Still, it could be a real possibility for a few reasons. The Bible talks about a time when the whole world will come together under the rule of the Antichrist, which means a force from outside our world might be the unifying power. This idea might be more believable than one single religion taking over the world. A new otherworldly wisdom could be the thing that makes a new faith rise. This kind of event might also answer big questions about where life in the universe came from. The explanations science offers today, like the Big Bang Theory, don't fully explain how life started. If visitors from another world offered a different explanation for how we began, it could be very convincing. But here's the reassuring part. The Bible tells us that he will protect and guide us. It also reminds us that these beings, even if they seem powerful, are not all-knowing or everywhere at once. The return of Christ, as the Bible describes, will be seen by everyone, unlike any hidden or tricky arrivals. Believers are warned to be careful of anyone doing miracles, but not following the Bible or showing true loyalty to Christ. Any being trying to unite all religions or teaching things that go against the Bible should be approached with caution. If these so-called alien visitors encourage new kinds of relationships or deny that Christ is God, and instead claim he was just a historical figure or even an alien, we should see them as deceivers. The Bible reminds us that even though these beings might look strong like the ones described in Revelation, they can't harm the soul, and that's what we should focus on. But this isn't the worst part. The Bible also talks about a great deception in the end times, where he will allow a strong delusion as a form of judgment on those who reject the truth. This deception will come with the Antichrist power and will be backed by demonic teachings. In the end, those who give in to evil and turn away from the truth will face his judgment. This highlights how important it is to stay strong in faith and follow his commandments, especially when deception is widespread. What secrets might Melania Trump reveal about her personal and public life? And how could these revelations impact our view of the Trump presidency? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more intriguing content.